Oh. Got my trusty pillow. Hi guys, how are you tonight? I hope you're doing well. This video is about a very serious subject that I feel needs to be talked about in a very serious way. Too many people kind of gloss over it or don't see it for what it really is. And that's when you live alone. And I mean alone. No one else in your household. It's just you in your home, your apartment, wherever you live, but you're alone. No one else around. I don't think people realize, a lot of people don't realize the seriousness of what loneliness can do to you over time. And I just think that that needs to be addressed. I mean, how many of you right now that are watching this, you're sitting there thinking, God, I'm so tired of being alone. I'm tired of feeling lonely. Because after a while when you live alone, whether you're working or you're home full time because you're retired or for whatever reason you're home all the time, it starts to get to your mind after a while. It really does. And you who are truly, and let me say real quick, this video is to show understanding to people that are struggling with living alone. This is not a video where I'm going to give you all kinds of suggestions and, oh, try this, try that. I'm not going to do that because I know, I'm sure you, as well as I, have had a lot of things said to you of what to do about this. And I think a lot of times people just don't get that there is no real answer to it if you are one of the people that are truly struggling. And I mean literally struggling with living alone. There are plenty of people who love living alone, or they say they do anyway. They say they love living alone, wouldn't have it any other way, and that's fine. That's good for you. But this is geared to people who are struggling with living alone. And I want you to know that I understand because I struggle with it. I definitely struggle with it. My son, my youngest son, who was living with me here in this house, moved out, a little over 4 years ago. And it had, in the beginning, it wasn't too bad. But as time went on, it got pretty tough. It's pretty tough, guys. I'm here to be honest with you about how this is affecting me because I'm sure it's affecting some of you in the same way. It gets very difficult. You're trying to figure out how to fill that void of time that you're alone. I even have 2 little dogs. But, you know, after a while you get tired of talking to a dog and to yourself. How many of you have done that? How many of you who live alone and you're kind of struggling with it, you talk to yourself, right? You talk to yourself because you have to keep your sanity. If you go all day with never talking, and I've done that, believe me, I've done that, and then I catch myself, I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even spoken today other than to my dogs, you know, hey guys, you hungry, come and eat, that type of thing. It can really start messing with your mind. Loneliness is not just a feeling of being alone. It actually affects you mentally and physically after a while. How many of you who are struggling with living alone, you don't want to cook anymore? Eating meals is like, oh, yeah, okay, eat real quick in front of the TV, whatever, because you don't have anyone to share that meal with. How many of you don't even want to cook just because it's a fact of, oh, go to all the trouble of cooking to sit by yourself at the table or in front of the TV and you're eating? Oh, that was exciting. That's part of the reality of living alone. And just the simple things, watching something on TV, watching a movie, watching your YouTube videos, whatever. Sometimes, you know, you want to discuss it with somebody. Nobody's there. And I know the hardship of this because I was married 22 years and I raised 5 children, and now I'm alone with 2 dogs. And I want you guys to understand that if you are struggling severely struggling with living alone, and you even feel maybe depressed and down and out because you're living alone, don't let anybody tell you that you're crazy, you're sick, you're just not doing whatever. Don't let anybody tell you that, because unless somebody is living alone and has for quite a while, and doesn't like it, then they can't really understand what you're going through. And I know this, believe me. I've talked to people, and it's, oh, join a group, do this, do that. What they don't seem to get is, yeah, you can join a class, you can join a group. That might take an hour or two. And this is particularly hard for those who are retired. That's why I have in my title, Over 60, Living Alone. If you're retired and at home, single, alone, it can be very, very difficult. And sometimes people just don't get it. And I want you to know that I do get it. I definitely get it. I get what you're going through, sometimes just going through the motions of anything you have to do for that day. Do the dishes, do your laundry, whatever. You're like, what's the point? You feel like, what's the point? Nobody's going to look at it. It's just me, my dogs. But I push myself because I like a clean home and I like to get things done. But it's really a chore. You know what I mean? It's really like, oh God, get those dishes done. Oh, after a while you just feel like, what is the point of a lot of things? It affects you mentally and physically. And when I say mentally, I don't mean, oh man, you're nuts. I just mean that it starts affecting how you view life. Because when you have no one to share your daily life with, constantly, every day, it's like, I saw one comment from another video that I watched, and the woman was like, it's repeat, 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 which is true. You get up, you do what you do, it's just kind of a perpetual, oh my gosh, rituals. And even if you break yourself out of that ritual, you're coming home, right? How many of you go somewhere and you're like, oh, gotta go home, I'm gonna be alone again? And how many of you go to bed feeling very down and out and very alone, very lonely, and then you wake up in the morning and then you're like, oh, another day, what should I do today? And what I'm finding in speaking with other people who live alone, it becomes this thing of just constantly trying to figure out how to fill that day. Oh, let's go shopping. Let's go let's go to the mall. Let's do this. What craft should I do today? What should I engage in? That's what you constantly are trying to figure out what to do with your day. And that gets exhausting mentally. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Be honest, because there are a lot of people out there who will say that they're happy living alone, and then they go home and they cry because they're lonely. I don't think that we as people, and this, like I said, this is not for the people who actually like living alone. I just don't think that the majority of people, we're not intended to be alone. It's like the pack of dogs, right? Out in the wild. They take care of each other, they help one another, their companionship, what have you. I really believe that people need that same togetherness. And yeah, I have kids and grandkids, they come visit, and that's wonderful. But we all know, okay, you know what I'm saying here. It's temporary, right? They're coming to visit, they stay for a few hours or maybe part of the day, but it's temporary and it's for that day. They can't be over every single day of their lives, not family, not your own kids or grandkids or even neighbors. Nobody can be over in your place all the time. So when you're dealing with extreme loneliness, it's very hard to get through the day. It's hard to get through the evening. It's hard to get through the night sometimes. How many times have you woken up maybe from a bad dream And yeah, we're adults and you're not going to sit there being terrified, but, well, I don't know, some dreams can do that. But you wake up and you're like, oh gosh, and you're alone and you just have to got to get yourself back to sleep, you know. It's a serious thing, guys. I've been watching videos, and this is not just for over 60. I put that simply because when you're older, it's really hard to, at least in my view, it's really hard when you're living alone in a lot of ways, especially if you have health problems or, you know, difficulty getting around, what have you. I'm fortunate in that I don't have any of that, but it doesn't matter. And I still struggle with the loneliness. I struggle very much with it. And I've been watching videos of all ages. And this is why I wanted to make this video. It's like, wow, I have been watching videos from, you know, teenagers up to, you know, my age, 60s, 70s, 80s, of very lonely people to the point that they're almost suicidal. And to me that is so extremely sad because, like I said, yeah, you can get together with somebody. Like yesterday, I went to lunch with a friend and it was wonderful. We sat and talked and, you know, a couple old ladies were talking about all kinds of stuff. And it was wonderful, you know, got out and just enjoyed what we had to eat, and it was nice. But then I come home. Luckily, I'm greeted by my precious dogs. They're all, you know, all happy to see me. But then I put my purse down, put my sunglasses and keys down. I looked around the house and I was like, now what? You know, you know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are struggling, you know what I'm talking about. So I start to do laundry, I start to do this, I start to do that. I thought, well, I'm going to run to Target. I run to Target. I come back home, I'm like, oh, nobody to share what I just bought. So I tell my daughter, you know, I'm like, Angela, I got this, you know, ice cream. I think it was yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure which day now. But anyway, I was telling her about the ice cream that I found. Their apple crisp ice cream at Target. Delicious. It's a seasonal thing. And you just want to share small things in life, just the smallest of things. And when there's no one there, it really makes you feel lonely. You just want to turn to somebody and say, oh man, did you see that? Did you see that on that video or the show or movie, whatever? And there's no one. There's no one. So you just kind of like, And I know how serious this is, and that's why I wanted to make this, because I really want so many of you to understand that there are people like me who understand, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, go do this, oh, go do that, oh, you should try this, oh, whatever, because I'm sure you've all heard it. You've all heard it, and you need somebody to literally just empathize and have compassion for you for what you're going through, not try to gloss over it by trying to find some temporary solution. Living alone every single day can really get to you. It can really get to you. And that's why I wanted to be honest in this video, because I know a lot of people, I'm learning through a lot of things, that there are a lot of people who, they portray themselves as being very happy and content living alone. When they close that door, they are miserable. How many of you have done that? You put on that brave face out there, and maybe you're embarrassed to let anybody know that you're very lonely and you're struggling. So you put on that happy face like, oh yeah, I'm just doing great, you know, it's all wonderful. And then you go home and you walk in and you're like, oh my God, here I am again. Guess I'll make a cup of tea, coffee, throw a sandwich together. How many of you go through that, huh? I know there are a lot of you. And I want you to know you're not alone in your loneliness. There are so many people suffering. And it's really strange, because I think about, you know, when I was married, and it was a very Not a good marriage, believe me. It was a very bad marriage. And my brain goes, sometimes it'll go to the good parts, because there were good parts. It wasn't 100% bad. There were good parts. Sometimes my brain goes to that part that was good, and I'll get kind of melancholy, like, oh man, I miss having a companion. I miss having somebody around. Your brain can actually get you to start thinking that maybe something wasn't so bad, and then you got to snap yourself out and go, yeah, it was really bad. I would never want to be back in that marriage. But it can do that. And that is why a lot of women, they never leave their husband or partner ever, no matter how bad it is, because they're afraid to be alone. And I get that. I get it. If you're one of those people right now that you're in a bad relationship but you're scared to leave because you're afraid of being lonely, I get that and I understand it. And I'm not going to just sit here and tell you, oh, you just need to leave him, you need to go. I'm not going to do that, because this is about acknowledging the fact of what loneliness can do to a person. And it's very difficult. How many of you, maybe you go out to grab something to eat because you don't want to cook, so you grab something to eat, you bring it home, and I don't sit at my table, okay? And you sit at your table, or like this chair here, this is my eating chair. Why? I don't want to sit at that table. My kitchen table is absolutely never, ever, ever used unless family comes over and we sit at it. And why? Sitting at that table alone is too painful. It's a horrible feeling for me personally to sit at a table, these empty chairs, and I'm like, That happened right after my son moved out. I knew I could never sit at that table again to eat alone. Couldn't do it. The first day I tried it, I was like, oh no, nope, can't do this. So guys, this is where I sit. I've got a blanket over it because of my dog's fur and everything. Plus it's a mess under here. I need to get a new chair. But anyway, but yeah, I can't eat at the table alone. If you're one of those people, man, do I get it. I really get it. It's like, I can't sit at that table alone. And it's very painful. I see videos of people who they are very desperate, very desperate. I have become very desperate. I'm being honest with you. I want to share with you the reality of living alone and what it can do if you don't like it. I have become so desperate sometimes that I will just cry and cry and cry, or like I'll call my daughter, and I'm like, Angela, I just, today I can't take it. I just can't deal with another moment alone. I can't deal with this, and she'll just listen and listen, and it feels good when she says, I'm sorry, I wish there was something I could help, do to help you with this, which is so nice to hear. To hear somebody say, I'm sorry you're going through this, whatever. But when you get those people who, oh, well, try this, try that, oh, well, that does not help. You guys who are struggling with living alone, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying when somebody tells you to do all this stuff. It does not help, because you know that whatever you do is temporary. Like I said, join a class, join a group, join a club, whatever. You can't be there all day. You can't be there all night. You can't be there all evening. So let's say you take a class and you're there for an hour. Well, that leaves 23 hours to figure out, unless you're working, of course. But I guess this is kind of mainly geared to people who aren't working anymore, and you're retired and you're living alone. But I also want this to apply to people who, even if you are working and you go through loneliness, say after you get off work, you come home and there's no one there to greet you, there's no one there to talk to you, there's no one there for you to vent and gripe about that bad day or good day, whichever one it may have been. And you just kind of like, what do I do? Call a friend? Should I try to get together with somebody? What? You can't do that all the time. You just can't. Everybody has their lives, and So you end up trying to figure out how to pass that time, how to get through that evening. I mean, it's Saturday night. I'm recording this on Saturday night. How many people are out there right now on a Saturday night and they're all alone in their home watching a movie, eating, how many, eating to just have something to do. And inside their heart is breaking. Their heart is breaking because the loneliness is so overwhelming. For me personally, what helps me sometimes is I have to get it out. I'm actually in therapy, guys, because of something that happened to me Christmas night, which I will get into in a video. But I'm in therapy once a week, and I'm learning not to hold stuff in, not to hold it in, let it out, cry, scream, yell. My therapist even had me, because I see her on the computer through like Zoom, because she's in another state, but she actually had me scream and yell. She said, yell, scream, get it all out, say whatever you need to say, just do it. I did. I screamed and yelled and went crazy. And she's like, I still even see you controlling yourself a little bit. You're not letting it all out. Well, I'm doing that now. If I'm having a really bad night, I will, guys. And you're not crazy if you do this. You gotta let it out. You gotta scream. You gotta yell. You gotta just, if you need to cuss it out, you do it. You just, I can't take this. Oh my God, I can't take one more minute of being alone. Oh my, you got to let it out. And sometimes that'll lead you to crying, which sometimes will just kind of relieve you. Because it's a serious thing. There are people out there committing suicide because of loneliness. And it's sad because neighbors aren't what they used to be. I remember my parents visiting with the neighbors, going over to the Madrids, the whoever, the Trujillos, the different people. They would go and visit one another, chat, talk, what have you. Nowadays, you're lucky to get this when you walk out the door. So everybody's kind of isolated in their homes or their apartments. Everybody's just tucked away. There's not that community like it used to be in the majority of places. I'm sure some of you live somewhere where maybe you are a really nice community, and that's lucky for you. But like I said, this is for people who are living alone and they are struggling. They are struggling to where they don't want to wake up. I've had days I don't want to wake up. I just lay there and think, I don't even want to wake up today. I don't want to face another day. And then I push myself to start doing whatever I can think of because I know I have to get through the day. But how many of you have literally just laid in bed? I've had days like that too where I'm just like, I'm going to stay in bed. I just lay in bed, turn the TV on, watch a bunch of YouTube videos. I don't want to face anything. It can get really dark. It can get really dark. And you know what I'm talking about if you're in that category of struggling with loneliness. It can get very, very dark. And it's hard to pull yourself out. Sometimes it's very hard. Other times I can pull it out like that. It's like, okay, I'll get through this. And other days it's like, I don't even want to try. I don't even want to try because I want to feel what I'm feeling. I don't want it to be glossed over like, oh, well, just try to make it a good day. It's up to you how you make your day. No. It isn't always up to you. Sometimes the loneliness is so overwhelming that it almost like smothers you. It just like smothers you. And you're like, I can't even breathe through this. It's hard, guys. And it's like a double-edged sword. I'm glad I'm out of a bad marriage. There's no doubt. I am so glad I'm out of a bad marriage. I would not want to be living with somebody I'm not happy with because that's just as bad. I know what that's like to be married to somebody that you're not happy with and you feel alone. You feel alone, but you're with somebody. That's really hard too. So I'm glad I'm out of the bad marriage. But there's no denying. This is serious, guys. And I want you to know that I understand. I want you to know I'm with you for what you're feeling. If right now as you watch this, you feel like, I don't want to get up tomorrow. I don't want to face another day. I don't want eat another meal alone. I don't want to watch another movie alone. I don't want to go to the grocery store alone again. I don't want to go shopping alone again. I get it. It is very hard sometimes. And then there are days when it's not as hard. It's not. And then there are days when you feel really good. It's like this roller coaster, right? You never know what that day is going to bring when you're living alone, because you don't know what's going to affect your emotions that day. And then if you're alone and you're feeling lonely, then it's very difficult. It's like, I don't know what to do. So my camera only films for 30 minutes and then it just cuts. So I'm getting close to the time here. So I just wanted to make this because I want you to know that there are some of us out here who truly understand. And I send you my love. I send you strength or whatever to help you through. I really do, because most people that are feeling true loneliness, it is painful. It is painful emotionally, mentally, and even physically. It can get you physically where you don't even want to get out of bed. Your body feels like, I can't make it. I can't even walk down the hall. It can get bad. And I want you to know, I understand, and I'm not here to try to make you feel like you're not doing enough to take care of the situation, because that just makes you feel worse, right? You know you're struggling and somebody's like, well, you're not trying this, or you're not. That makes you feel 10 times worse, because then you feel like, God, I'm failing. Now I'm failing at how I handle this, and you're already dealing with the loneliness, and now I'm not doing this right. No, I'm not going to do that. I just want you to know that I understand. And I can only hope that you find some way to get through those days or evenings or nights, those weekends when if you're working, you're off work and you don't know what to do. Because like I said, visits and everything, it's all temporary. It's maybe a couple hours, maybe an hour, maybe part of a day. It doesn't take care of the rest of the hours. And it can become a serious struggle. And I want you to hang in there. I want you to hang in there and comment below, guys, to each other. Help each other out. No comments of, well, you know, I'm happy, I love it, and I do this. That does not help people who are actually struggling with loneliness. Maybe get on and make comments to show compassion and empathy. If anybody's leaving a comment saying, I'm alone all the time, I don't know what to do, I just want to die, make a compassionate comment. Don't make them feel like, well, look how great I'm handling it, but you're not. That does not do any good. So I'm telling you right now, guys, I understand. And you're not crazy, you're not nuts, you're not messing up, whatever. Loneliness is a real epidemic in this country. And there's a lot of people in that epidemic. A lot of it. If you research it, there's a lot of them. So I just wanted to say real quick before the time runs out here, I want you to take care, hang in there, listen to maybe something that helps you bring out those emotions. Frankly, for me, I listen to Dreamer by Ozzy Osbourne. I listen to that song every time I feel like I'm going to just fall. And for some reason, that one just helps me. I don't know why. And Imagine by John Lennon. Those two songs just do it for me. I don't know why. They'll make me cry or they'll make me feel bad or whatever. But anyway, take care, guys. Love you all. And be kind to each other. So I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.